Alright, hi, it's Trackman1231, and I'm back for my, fourth gameplay video, and fifth video overall. I'm going to be starting by going to the Lair and exploring that. So the Lair is 8 levels deep, and it contains a lot of the experience that your character will need later to continue on in the game. It can be pretty easy, but it can also have really nasty monsters like spiny frogs, black mambas, and hydras. Those are typically the most common threat. Basically, just explore the lair. Use whatever you have to try to beat your enemies and just gain XP. Hopefully, you'll find stuff like a really strong weapon, enchant armor scrolls. There's all sorts of stuff that you can find in here. Fire drakes. Okay, I do have fire resist, which is nice. I have even more fire resist. Okay. Alright, right now I'm training fighting for more hit points. Actually, I should train maces and flails to get it closer to min delay. I'm going to talk about other resistances, like negative energy resist and that stuff. Negative energy resist works differently than fire and cold because each rank of negative energy resist gives you a third damage reduction and effect reduction. So having 3 ranks gives you complete immunity to negative energy effects. So that's why mummies and ghouls can't get drained, because they have complete immunity. And the fact that they're undead, but that's because they're undead, they have 3 ranks of negative energy resist. I just got the 3rd rank of Ashenzari's third star piety for Ashenzari. So all my skills went up that had slots cursed. And he gives you See Invisible, which is nice to have, and he gives you Clarity. And those two are just really, really useful to have. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so the name of Green Rat was changed to River Rat, which is interesting, in my opinion. Blink frogs are another really nasty enemy because they have really high evasion. Yep, they have really high evasion. And they also have, they come in packs, they blink around, they do quite a bit of damage. So they're a pretty dangerous threat for a lot of characters. But if you have something like Mephitic Cloud, I mean, yeah, if you've got a way of isolating them from one another, that's probably the best way to take them. Otherwise, you could be in for a nasty surprise. Like blink frogs, fighting blink frogs at layer level like 7 or 8 wouldn't be too big of a deal, but layer 1 blink frogs can be a little threatening. So right now I'm trying to get maces and flails to 16. That way it will be at min delay. I'm going to, let's see, I've got a lot of my slots filled, inventory slots. So I'm going to make a stash at the entrance to Lair. The only way, like, something I would ever lose this stuff is if a jelly came down the stairs and ate all my stuff. And that would really be unfortunate, but I don't think that's likely. So I'm just dropping stuff I don't really feel like I need, like pizza, meat rations, the other armor that I had. I don't have gloves yet. That's a bummer. Or a cloak. Wow, that's unfortunate. Those are just nice little armor pieces to have because they just give you flat 1 AC with no penalties. Okay, so a 4-headed Hydra. This should be easier than most Hydras. So Hydras do 4 attacks. They can output tremendous amounts of damage depending on heads. Edge weapons will cut their heads off. They're a really big threat for early game characters and newer players, and learning how to deal with them makes your trip through the lair much easier. If you have something like a flaming edge weapon, like a flaming sword or a flaming broadaxe, it's nice, but if you go maces and flails, they won't cut off Hydra heads, and so that's convenient. Also, when you have a armor piece cursed, or if you have something cursed by Ashen-Zari, he will tell you the stats of similar items. So when you have your weapon cursed, Ashen-Zari will tell you the stats of any weapon that you find. So I knew that a random whip on the ground was a +1 whip of freezing because my Morningstar is cursed. Because I don't have any gloves or cloaks, cursed or uncursed, I won't know if the gloves I find are +1 gloves or a +2 cloak of magic resist until I have a slot cursed. Until I have that slot cursed. So that means if your race can't like wear helmets and you have Ashen-Zari, or no, that's not a good example. If your race can't wear hats like a Formicid and you worship Ashen-Zari, you won't know what any of the helmets do, even if they're artifacts or whatever. And that's actually not a big deal, but that's just something I felt like mentioning. A blink frog, oh geez, a blink frog appeared from thin air. Either because I imagine typically that happens when because something walked into a teleport trap, but since his buddies were nearby, I think it's more likely that it was him just blinking. Or maybe they don't blink randomly. I don't know. Who knows? The world may never know. I don't think blink frogs have any armor class, so actually Magic Dart does do some damage because they can't reduce it. So Magic Dart is surprisingly somewhat effective against them. Ooh, I found an entrance to an ice cave. The nice thing about Ashen-Zari is they'll tell you where the portals to these timed branches are. So I know exactly where this ice cave is. It's that yellow dot right there. And this is the one, and it might have ice beasts around it. Nope, okay. So I've got 1 rank of cold resist, and I've got Conjure Flame. I think I should be in decent shape for it. So let's see, there's a lot of demons in here. I think this is the ice cave that has this is the ice cave that has lots of simulacra and then freezing wraiths and other things like that. But there's 2 ice statues here, and those won't be very nice. I want to avoid them more than anything, but I don't have anything that's very good for avoidance. Like, I don't have any fire spells that I could cast at the ice statues. So I just summoned some butterflies, and those took the heat for me, which was nice. Oh wow, Cloak of Cold Resist and Boots of Cold Resist. That's really nice. I think those 2 right there are blue devils. I'm right? Okay. And these guys, they swoop at you, and that's pretty... if you're trying to run away from them, they'll like swoop behind you and next to you. And as most like cold demons, they're susceptible to fire, so I thought I might as well use... I really want those boots and cloak, and I don't even know if I want to explore the rest of this ice cave, because there could be things like blizzard demons, which I don't think I can take, but I definitely want to get at least these things. So that's why I drank a potion of might, because I wanted to make sure I got those. Yeah, more blue devils. Okay. Alright, looks like my mace does more damage than I first had thought, so that was nice. And now I've got 3 ranks of cold resist, so I can walk through these clouds with near impunity, I imagine. Though I do want to make sure I only fight one enemy at a time, because I could easily get overwhelmed. Like, there's an ice devil. Ice devils are not nice devils. They do a lot of cold damage, so having 3 ranks of cold resist will make them significantly less dangerous. But then I still just might get screwed by their regular attacks. I don't want to use my last potion of might, but I apparently can take them. Okay. Wow, Executioner's Axe. In this ice cave, there's typically really nice weapons. Typically a really nice weapon and a really nice armor. I really don't like axes anyway, so I'm just gonna leave it there because I don't really need it. I got a potion out of the deal. Ooh, another ice devil. Alright, instead of fighting them, I think I'm just going to leave the ice cave, because I really don't exactly need the XP at this point, and I think I was pretty lucky with the previous fight against an ice devil. So I will just continue on my merry way, now with a nice cloak and boots. I actually was mistaken when I said I had 3 ranks of cold resist, because I had forgotten that my boots are cursed. And so if I wanted to get 3 ranks of cold resist, I would have had to uncurse my boots, put the other boots on, and probably curse them again, because I want to have at least three slots cursed to gain the benefits of having cursed slots. So there's Gastronach. Gastronach is a giant slug. He has lots of health, like 200 some. He's got a ton of health. He can slow you. He can summon small mammals, which aren't really a big deal, but when he casts Airstrike, you can take a lot of damage from that, and his bite does a lot of damage. But the best thing about Gastronach is that you can just walk away from him. Like every character can just walk away, even like Nagas, because I think he's even slower than Nagas. Ashen-Zari's 4-star power is Scrying, which allows you to see through walls. And because this was a ruined door, I thought it was going to be dangerous. Ruined doors are unable to be opened by any monster. So you're the only one who can open ruined doors. So as long as that door stays there, no, those monsters don't get out. And like a wandering orc, if there was somehow an orc, wouldn't open the door. At least I'm pretty sure. And ruined doors are pretty indicative of a dangerous situation. So I thought I would just scry and then just see what it was. And I don't want to fight a torpor snail and a hydra Turbo snares slow you if you're within sight of them, and hydras are just very unpleasant. So combined, they're not worth fighting, at least right now. And it costs a little bit of piety, but I gain piety back fast enough, I imagine, that it's not going to be that much of a problem. There's the entrance to the shoals on this level. The shoals is one of the 4 Lair branches that spawn 50% of the time. There are 2 water-themed, and there are 2 poison-themed branches, and all of them start with S, which is interesting, in my opinion. I don't know. It took me a while to notice that. There's the shoals, there's the swamps, there's the snake pit, and the spider's nest. There's also the slime pits, but that's the mandatory branch, is always the slime pits. So here's a little vault that has little dragons and stuff. And I can get a steam dragon hide, which turns into a pretty nice armor. I actually think I might want to wear steam dragon armor because it gives 5 AC, so it gives as much AC as ringmail. It doesn't give any stealth penalty, and let's see. And then you can still cast like Ozakubu's armor. And Ozakubu's armor is a nice spell in my opinion. Just gives a fair amount of AC if you're wearing really light armor. But the armor has to be really light. You can only use Ozakubu's armor if you're wearing robes, leather armor, troll leather armor, or steam dragon armor. And because all my slots are cursed, I'm gaining piety pretty quickly. So I didn't feel a need or it wasn't a big deal to use scrying because the piety cost isn't really that high, and I'm getting piety so fast, so it's no big deal. 7-headed Hydra, that's definitely not worth fighting, because if I had a higher armor class, then I think it would be pretty simple to fight with Conjure Flame, but with a low armor class like 9, I don't think it's worth it. I don't know if I want to enchant a Steam Dragon Hide. How do I get... Okay, I can't... So I need like a way of flying. Oh, I've got a potion of flight? I saw a ring of flight. There it is. I'll just grab this ring and use it to get over there. So I'm already on Lair 4, which was pretty fast. I got a bread ration and wanted raining out of the deal. Pretty nice. You're going to want to have some source of flight in the shoals because water is it's really dangerous to be standing in water if you are not aquatic. So if you are a merfolk, an octopode, naga, I'll talk about that in a second. If you're like an aquatic species, like a gray draconian, then water doesn't give you any penalties. And so shoals are actually probably much easier for you. But if you're not and don't have some source of permanent flight, like gargoyles or tengu, shoals can be pretty bad because merfolk move quickly in water. And water gives you a lot of penalties. You move much slower in water, and you never move. It's not actually even consistent how slow you move. It's a random increase in the amount of time it takes to move through 1 square of water. And so if you're running away from something and you have to go through a lot of water, you can be in a lot of trouble. I'd really like to put on those boots at least. I don't know. in my opinion, shoals is more dangerous than swamp. I think more people die in shoals than swamp. And I feel that spider is easier than the snake pits, but I'm not really certain on that one. I'm really hoping I find a nice weapon or something. Okay, these are boulder beetles. They start rolling at you, and if they hit you, they can do a lot of damage. And then, oops. Okay, but I have a vampiric morningstar, and that's really nice for taking them down. Resist poison is a very nice resistance to have. It reduces the chance of getting poisoned by like 2/3. It reduces poison damage from venom bolt or poison arrow by a significant margin. I'm not exactly sure. And it lets you eat poisonous chunks, which is always good because it increases the amount of food available to you. Resist electric is a nice resistance to have in some circumstances. There's not a whole lot of electricity, or not a whole lot of monsters that deal electric damage. You're going to want a source of electric damage when you go to Zot 5 and try to win the game. But beyond that, there isn't really that much of a need for it. It's nice to have in the snake pit because shock serpents are really dangerous. It's nice to have a potion resistance that you can drink when fighting Nicola. He's a unique that can do a lot of damage with his electricity spells. He has Chain Lightning, which is a very powerful electric spell. What other resistances are there? Resist corrosion. Okay, so corrosion was changed. So now instead of permanently corroding your items, it gives a temporary debuff that reduces your armor class by 5. You're slaying by 3 for each stack, and is now, I don't know, it's better. I like it more, but it's makes things significantly more dangerous now because when fighting jellies, if you go to the slime pits where there's lots of slimes, obviously it's the slime pits. If you get corroded really quickly, you can have no chance of surviving. It's good to have a source of corrosion resistance on hand. Alright, so in an earlier video, I was able to kill a Hydra skeleton by putting up like flame clouds and having an easier monster in front of it. Oh, now it's eating the plant. Oh, that's unfortunate. Alright, I didn't do that perfectly. I should have realized that the Hydra would have destroyed the plant to get to me, but I was still able to take it, so that was nice. What am I wearing? I'm wearing a hat, okay. Hats and helmets are both headgear. Helmets give 1 AC, hats give no AC. But if you have horns or a beak, you can't wear helmets, but you still can wear hats. So, in general, helmets are preferable unless you can't wear it or find a really nice one. Because when you're trying to gain armor skill, or AC from training armor, you get more AC for having a higher base armor. And the way you calculate base armor is you take the base armor of each of your slots. So I'm wearing leather right now, so that's 3, along with let's see, boots and a cloak. I'm missing gloves, and since the hat doesn't have any, so that's a base armor of 5. And so to find out how many points of armor you need to gain 1 AC, you take 22, you divide it by the number of, or the amount of base AC you have, and that tells you how many skill ranks in armor you need for one point. Let's see, 22 divided by 6 is 3 2/3. So for every 3 2/3 armor skill I train, I get 1 point of AC. But if I had a helmet, that would give me 7. 7. Wait a minute. 3, 4, 5. Well, whoops, sorry, I had 5, not 6. It would take 4 and 4.4 points in armor to gain 1 point of AC, and then getting 1 additional base AC in the form of either gloves or a helmet would make it much easier for me to get AC. So if I want to get the most mileage out of my armor skill, I'd want to wear a pretty heavy armor. So races that are good with armor, like hill orcs and gargoyles, are better off with heavier armors. And also don't neglect to train dodging, because dodging is still very important. And so depending on how heavy your armor is, you will get good returns from dodging after training like X amount of levels of dodging. So if you're wearing something heavy, like heavy-ish, like scale mail, it's not even super heavy. If you're wearing something like scale mail, you won't see many returns after training a few skill ranks of dodging. But then after you do that, you'll start seeing returns pretty quickly. I personally like Swamp Dragon armor. That's one of my favorite armors because it has a good split of armor class and encumbrance rating. Encumbrance rating is how heavy your armor is, and that lowers your evasion. It also reduces your spell success chances depending on how heavy the armor is, and you offset a lot of the penalties by having a high strength. So the general rule of thumb is to have, Swiss scroll, 1 second. The general rule of thumb is to have at least as much strength as the encumbrance rating of the armor you're trying to wear. So if I wanted to wear Fire Dragon armor, which has an encumbrance rating of 11, it's a good idea to have at least an 11 strength. Wizards start with a pretty low strength, so the heaviest armor I'd probably want to wear is a Ringmail, which has an encumbrance rating of 7, or Swamp Dragon armor, which has an encumbrance rating of 7. I just read 3 of my scrolls because I was really hoping for acquirement, because I was hoping I'd be lucky. Turned out as a scroll of Summoning, Holy Word, and Brand Weapon. Summoning summons appropriate creatures to wherever you are, so I got creatures that I find in the lair, like crocodiles and hydras and griffins. It's a pretty powerful scroll. Good. It's useful in emergency situations. Emergency situations? Yeah. Not emergency. I mean, what I mean is, like before a big fight, it's good to have some allies. Like, you'd probably get pretty interesting things in Spider 5. You might get like a Ghost Moth or an Emperor Scorpion, and that'd be really nice to have in a fight. I read a scroll of Holy Word. Holy Word does damage to all demons and undead. Does a fair bit. I don't remember exactly how much. If you're worshipping one of the good gods, Zin Evilian, I don't know, you gain it does more damage, and then if you're worshipping the Shining One, it does even more damage than that. So, Holy Word is more effective when you're worshipping a good deity. Oh, it's actually kind of okay. This is I think if you use a Scroll of Brand weapon on a weapon of Holy Wrath, it acts as if Holy Word was just used. So that's a kind of odd use if you wanted to do that, but typically it's never really worth it. These boring beetles keep going in a direction until they hit something. And they can do a lot of damage, so their little rolling attack can do up to 60 damage-ish. So I wasn't afraid sitting at my 70-some health. If I had gone down to like the teens or the single digits, then I would have started panicking a little bit, but considering I had already cleared the level more or less, I wasn't really in any danger. And I've got this nice Vampiric Morningstar to keep my health up. So I'm now in Lair level 8, and there's usually something special. There's a couple special vaults in Lair level 8. So hopefully I'll find something nice. Because I could really use something like a Demon Whip or Evening Star, but those are pretty uncommon, so I'm not trying to be realistic. Basically, I use Magic Dart to get monsters' attentions, not for anything, not for killing them at this point in the game. And as such, I'm probably never going to Amnesia Magic Dart, because having such an easy way of getting monsters' attention is more convenient, I think, than carrying around stones and throwing stones at them. This is a Phantom Mirror. Phantom Mirrors are a new item that was added recently in 0.16 that copies a monster and as an allied version, and depending on the magic resistance of an enemy or and your evocation skill, you can get it. That limits how long they last for. I once used a Phantom Mirror in a fight against Menas, a very dangerous, unique angel, to fight him, because you have to use it on the thing you see, and that saved my life, because having Menas fight Menas was pretty helpful. Magic resistance is a good topic to talk about. Magic resistance is your ability to resist hexes. It's not the ability to resist magic in general. To resist magic in general is like evasion, fire resist, cold resist, armor class, all that stuff. So things like confuse, paralyze, slow, confusion. I think I already said confusion, but any kind of hex or enchant thing that tries to enchant you, magic resistance usually attempts to resist that. And Gastronach's on this level? No, Gastronach's on level 3. I think I want to fight Gastronach now, because why not? I just realized I didn't drop enough of my stuff. Silly me. Hopefully I will find some good things. I don't know, I feel a little bit weak right now, but I think I'm okay. I'm going to want to switch to a heavier armor pretty soon. There's a glowing ring mail. Oh, that's 100 gold. I don't know if I want that. And there's a scroll of curse armor here. I actually think I want to curse my cloak. Let's see what to do. I've got all these unidentified potions. That's really annoying. A +0 helmet, in my opinion, is better than a +1 hat because you have the base AC in addition. So +2 helmet will give you 3 AC, whereas a +2 hat will give you 2 AC. So switching out my hat for a helmet would not be bad. These guys, I don't exactly know what their name is, how to pronounce that. Ketobelpas? I don't know. They breathe clouds of petrifying dust, and that can petrify you. So once you get hit by one, you're going to want to step out of the way, because clouds don't affect you the turn they land on you. So as long as I kept moving after I was hit by a cloud, I wouldn't be in any danger. This is a death yak. Death yaks are like regular yaks, except that they do almost twice as much damage, have a lot more health, and have higher magic resist, at least I think. 2 pips of magic resist. Very little. Okay, so yes, they are much harder to use hexes on. Typically, you're going to want on your screen 3 pips of magic resist. That will render you immune to most harmful effects, harmful hexes, like getting banished by certain uniques or deep elf demonologists or ogre mages. Basically, if your magic resist is 100 points higher than the hex's power, you are immune to it. And I don't have like the values of each hex's power on hand, but most of them don't go above like 40-ish. I don't actually. Basically, 3 pips of magic resist is all you need. That's basically my summary. And you get magic resist from leveling up. So depending on your species, you can gain differing amounts of magic resist. Humans and a lot of the more common species get 3 magic resistance per level. So I've gotten 14 times 3, 42 magic resist just from levels. And then every item, most items that say they give magic resist, like a magic resist plus, give 40 as well. So if you can find 2 items that give magic resist, you're in good shape. Cloaks and hats are typically the most common, or artifacts. I can't remember if I finished talking about resist electric. It's actually pretty hard to come by. Usually the only way you'll find it is with potions of resistance, or the occasional item will have it. but if you find it on like a ring or an amulet, it's a pretty good item to like switch when you need to use it in a fight. Resist mutation is the ability to not get mutated by mutation effects. Seems pretty self-evident. Interestingly enough, resist mutation will not decrease or will not stop potions of beneficial mutation from mutating you, which is nice. But things like halflings innate mutation resist, they have a separate mutation resist which makes 2/3 of all mutation attempts fail. Resist mutation makes 90% of mutation effects fail. So if you're a halfling with an amulet of resist mutation, it's very hard to mutate you, either positively or negatively. In general, it's a bad idea to drink potions of mutation because the harmful effects, or the beneficial effects usually aren't worth the risk. And even some of the beneficial effects you don't want, like you can grow horns, which while it's a nice mutation, oh dear, okay. You can grow horns, which removes your helmet slot, so you can have a really nice helmet that you can no longer use. There's enemies that bad mutate you. Malmutation is the spell they have. And in general, you just want to kill them as soon as possible, like Shining Eyes and other things of that sort. You're going to want to drink potions. In general, it's a good idea to drink potions of beneficial mutation. Sometimes you can have get things like horns, but you can also get things like magic resist or cold resist or all sorts of nice things. So it's up to you. Like it's not a horrible idea to train, or rather drink potions of beneficial mutation, because they're pretty good. Yeah, so you want to fight Deathiacs one at a time because it's just not worth fighting multiple at once. They do a lot of damage and it's just not worth it. And it's not like you gain more XP for killing multiple enemies at the same time. So unless you're trying to save time for some reason, you're going to just want to fight things one at a time. Ensure your chances of survival. Okay. So yeah, that guy took a couple turns before he walked into the flame cloud. I talked about magic resist, stealth. Stealth is a mechanic. It describes how able you are to avoid detection. And the way it works is a little, is it confusing? So basically you have a stealth score, and that's determined by your ranks in stealth and your dexterity and any items that give you stealth increases. And for every round that you're within sight of an enemy, they have a chance of detecting you. And basically that chance is your stealth score divided by their awareness. And so, the more aware a monster is, just in general, it's harder to sneak up on them. Your stealth score, your stealth the racial stealth modifier, I guess is how to describe it, is dependent on, dependent on your race because it's racial. Humans and a lot of races are 15, I want to say. So basically you multiply 15 times your stealth score. So I have 4 times 15, so 60 plus your dexterity times 3, which would be 45, 54. Okay, so I've got a stealth score of about 100 right now. And so the awareness of a certain monster is, say, what? Maybe 10. So that's probably something like an orc wizard is probably something around 10, I don't know. And every turn that I'm within sight of like a sleeping one or a wandering one, it has about a 10% chance to notice me. And then it'll shout, and then I have to fight a lot of guys. So I finished exploring the lair. I should really just attempt to kill these guys that I had skipped earlier, because I'm just looking for more XP right now. Okay. Yeah, I did take a lot of damage there, but with the setting up the flame clouds in a line like that, I was pretty safe. I think I want to increase Dex again, because I haven't found any heavier armors that I would like to wear, and I would probably get some evasion out of the deal. Okay, I didn't, but I will eventually. Maybe I should have taken that Executioner's Axe. I don't know. I don't like axes, so it's hard to say. So what was nice there is that the Hydra saw me, and the Torpor Snail didn't. So I wasn't slowed while fighting the Hydra while I moved out of view, and the Torpor Snail wouldn't come find me and slow me down in my fight. So I found a Cursed Mace, and maces are pretty bad base weapons, so I would never ever want to use that. So after this, I think I'll go to dungeon level 12, explore that, then try to explore some of Orc, because there are shops in Orc, and hopefully there's something nice in a shop. I don't know. I don't want to go to any of the Lair branches to find a rune. You need runes to win the game. That's pretty. You get 3 runes, you can enter Zot, so you need to get at least 3 runes. And there's a rune in each of the 3 Lair branches. There's a rune in Vaults. There's a rune in the Abyss. There's a rune in Tomb. There's 5 in Pandemonium, and 1 in each of the 4 Hells. So there's 15 runes to find, and you only need 3, and the ones in the Hells and Pandemonium and Tomb, for that matter, are completely optional, and they're typically harder to get than the 2. Okay, then the Lair runes that aren't the slime pits. So for me, that would be the easiest 2 runes to get for me would probably be the Spider Nest, the Gossamer rune in the Spider Nest, and the Barnacled rune in the Shoals. And then the Silver rune in the Vaults would probably also be a good idea. So Gastronog. Oh, I killed him. Okay, yeah, no big deal. Hat of Intelligence. I actually think I might want to wear the Hat of Intelligence because it gives a flat 3-tier intelligence. And if I find a nice book, it'll make spells a bit easier to cast. So spells have a hunger cost, and that's reduced by training spellcasting. You multiply your spellcasting times your intelligence, and that amount is deducted from each of the hunger costs of your spells, and the hunger costs of your spells increase as you go up in levels. And a mistake that newer players typically do is they overtrain spellcasting because they imagine hunger to be a much bigger deal than it is. But in very few cases is it really that important to train spellcasting. You train spellcasting typically for you train spellcasting so you can cast or learn additional spells rather than anything else. +4 blowgun, wow. Impressive. Darn, I don't really know what's missing at this point. I need something, like, I don't want to go to the shoals because I feel like the shoals would be extremely dangerous, and I'm currently lacking in... Ooh, okay, so I have a Book of Envenomations, which has a nice spell called Poisonous Cloud, which would make Spider much easier to deal with. Alright, yeah. I think this is my ticket to getting a fair bit through Spider's Nest. Normally I actually don't learn that spell too often, but considering I haven't found much else that I feel like would be good, I think Poisonous Cloud is my best bet. So it uses 3 different skills: Conjurations, Air Magic, and Poison Magic. So I'm going to train 3 of those evenly because my aptitudes are even, and slowly get that failure rate down. Ashen Zari makes spells a lot easier to cast because normally my skill ranks would be a fair bit lower than they are, and with Ashen Zari, spells become castable at much earlier levels, which means you get to put more XP in different places, and Ashen Zari will boost those skills too, so you save a lot of XP when trying to get to a given level, like the ability to swing your mace at minimum delay. So I got to minimum delay a fair bit faster because actually I only had to train 12 levels to gain 16 levels in maces and flails. So he just makes things a lot. He makes your character a lot stronger in offense, defense, and magic. So he's a pretty nice deity. The kobold has a wand of paralysis, and he did paralyze me, but it wasn't that big of a deal because he couldn't do that much damage to me. I might as well drop my amulet of resist corrosion for now because my amulet slot is cursed, and so there's not a huge need. Drop potion of the cure mutation because I have no mutations that I want to cure. Oh wow, that's right, I have that mutation. That's really nice. Otherwise my AC would be a lot lower than it is. Okay, so Irakla was carrying a potion of resistance, and she drank it. So she has resist poison now for a little while, temporarily. And my original plan was to use Mephitic Cloud and confuse her, but now that she has poison resist, she can't get confused that way. So I'm going to go down another exit, find her after it's worn off, and kill her. She's a very dangerous unique. Basically, she's a early ogre mage to fight, and because I confused her, she couldn't cast any of her very dangerous spells. Brown Ugly Things for the corrosion version. Simulacra. Those are undead, icy undead, that can do a lot of damage, but do a lot of regular damage and then additional cold damage on top of it. And it's useful having at least one rank of cold resist when fighting them, because otherwise it can turn pretty bad pretty fast. I'm gonna read a scroll. I'm gonna drop a scroll, remove curse, hopefully get some armor. Yes, that's nice. So all my armor slots are cursed, all 5. So I'm now fully bound in armor instead of partially bound, and that way I got a significant boost in my dodging skill. My evasion went from 24 to 26, and then my stealth also went up. Whether Ashen gives you the benefits that Ashen gives you for training armor or for cursing your armor depends on how heavy your armor is. If it's light armor, so Nergal. This orcish spellcaster is very dangerous. She uses bolts of draining and summons orcish apparitions. Shoot, 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 shoot. To attack you, and she casts Death's Door when she gets really low. So I either try to wait to debilitate her and prevent her from casting spells, or kill her very quickly. Oh, right, yes. I'm going to put on the boots of cold resist and the hat of intelligence now, because these boots and hats are strictly worse than these boots and hats. And my failure chance for Poisonous Cloud is now 82%, which is nice. And then I'll curse them. And now I'm in a pretty good state, I think. She isn't poison resist, but she's got a reasonably high hit dice, so I'm hoping to confuse her, and then she should be relatively easy to take out. Oh, okay, yeah, I did get her. These are hungry ghosts. If they hit you, they remove a lot of your hunger. So if you're a race that, if you're like a spellcaster that needs to cast high level spells, you could easily end up starving when fighting them. Or if you're playing like a Spriggan that can't eat chunks, they're actually kind of dangerous. But in general, they're not too bad. They'll also eat corpses on the ground, so if you really need those corpses to cast a spell like Corpse Rot or Animate Skeleton, you won't be able to. There's another potion of beneficial mutation there, which is kind of cool. It'd be really awesome if it gave me something like the 3rd rank of Rugged Scales, but I don't really want to be that hopeful. Yeah, toenails lengthen and sharpen. So if I didn't have boots on, I would have an auxiliary attack. Every time I attacked, I had a chance to kick them with my sharp toenails. But that effect is negated when you wear boots. So I'd much rather have my boots AC than have that auxiliary attack. Cyclopses they're not exactly dangerous. They are dangerous, yes. They throw rocks that can do you 40-some damage or more. But they are slow, so you can just walk away. Just walk away from them. And that's typically the best way of dealing with them if you find an early one. But I could confuse that one. And since, like the Epic of Odysseus, they sometimes shepherd sheep. So, I always thought that was interesting. Electric eels are some of the electricity enemies in the game, and they fire off electric bolts at you. I'm not too afraid because I have the Morningstar Vampirism. Otherwise, I would be a little bit more cautious with those, but I know I'm fine. Oh yeah, water also reduces your stealth, so it's hard to stealth in water. Hungry Ghost will enter Flame Clouds. That's nice. So basically, unless you're aquatic, don't try to enter water. It's generally a bad idea. %71%. Alright, it looks like it's going to take a while for me to get... it's going to take a while for me to get Poisonous Cloud castable. But that's okay, because I'm doing okay in Dungeons level 13. I actually meant to go to Orcish Mines after I cleared Dungeon level 12, but I forgot, so whatever. And so there's the entrance to the vaults. The vaults being a fun and dangerous branch that has the crypt in it, and a lot of vault guards and a lot of interesting enemies that can make this game extremely dangerous. 58, not bad. You don't want to be starving when fighting enemies. It gives a lot of penalties, like damage penalties, hit penalties. You can go unconscious, you can get paralyzed, you faint from hunger sometimes, and so you're better off just eating something that won't take very long. Rations will take you a few turns, so you're better off eating jerky or fruit. %45. I think Conjure Flame is just one of the best utility spells for any character to have, really, as long as you can cast spells and fight in melee. I mean, melee. You don't really need Conjure Flame like if you're just like a straight up spellcaster. Ah, shoot. So I'm lagging a little bit, and so I pressed tab a couple too many times. So, whoops. Darn it, it's frustrating. I should just go to the Orcish Mines, honestly. I think I'm gonna stop playing here for this video, but choosing to take Poisonous Cloud is another example of using what the game gives you, because I was really hoping the game would give me a source of poison resist. That way I'd have a way to deal with the venomous attacks of a lot of the enemies in the spider's nest. And Poisonous Cloud would also be useful for the shoals, because not a huge amount of poison resistant. But I didn't get any. I haven't found anything yet. And hopefully I'll find something in Orc in one of the shops that inevitably spawns. But learning Poisonous Cloud now is a useful it's a safeguard in case I don't find any. And so I'm training it now rather than later in the hopes to have it castable by the time I need to go there, rather than trying to learn it after I've basically exhausted every other less dangerous place, and then having no source of poison resist or any way to deal with these enemies. Yeah, and I think I'll continue exploring Orc in my next video. Thanks for watching.